Everybody, it is a Thursday night forum. Arsenal fan circle here. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome. And yeah, just one more game left, Stan. Just one more game left in this season, and it's the biggest game of the season. Champions League final.
Yes, good evening to everyone who's listening. Those of you that may be listening on the replay, it's good to be here on this Thursday evening. A couple of days now before the biggest game in Arsenal's history, biggest game in that I can remember in the time that I've been supporting Arsenal in more than 40 years. This is the biggest one, and I can't wait. It's been a long, dragging week for me. It just seems to be each day seems to be going past so slowly. But as as my missus always used to say, when it gets up to Christmas time, we're only 2 sleeps away now. So 2 sleeps, and I'll be getting up bright and early to watch the game. That'll be about 8 o'clock kickoff for me here in Vancouver. So it's straight up out of bed and straight in front of the TV, and a very pensive 90 minutes to see where the dominoes fall.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about. Tony, what are your thoughts on the big game?
I disagree with it.
Surprise, surprise, Tony Turner.
Arsenal
won the league.
Gone and we didn't win it, and now this is the biggest night in our history. This is the new biggest one, right?
Yeah, but that offside goal, red card, is what it should have went in extra time. Yeah, I still want to do a watch along in that game.
Stay in the present, Tony. Stay in the present. You know, what happened 20 years ago is history.
Present, right? I told you this. Don't do as much as I did 2 years ago. Because I don't like style of defense that we play. I miss by all get in with trouble.
Well, it's certainly going to be a very balanced podcast because we will get. It's not going to be an all positive podcast. Then Tony's going to give his narrative on things, right? You're, yeah. Stan, let's go back to Sunday, okay? And Tony, let's go back to Sunday, right? I know you like a little bit of history, Tony. So let's go back to some celebrating. How amazing was it, Stan, to see the boys not only win the game but have the incentive enjoyment of actually seeing the lads lift the trophy. We knew we'd won the title, but now seeing the trophy celebrations on Sunday.
Well, yeah, I mean, since it was announced that we were champions, and then we had those days to wait to the Crystal Palace game, it kind of didn't feel real. Kind of felt like I was in suspended animation, so to speak, until after the Crystal Palace game. And even after when the game finished, it took ages, didn't it, to get to the actual trophy presentation. They were showing clips from other games. They were going to the studio. But this is on the channel that I was watching, and it must have been a good hour after the game ended that the actual trophy actually got brought onto the field by Josh and Stan Kroenke. Felt like it was just ages to get everything set up, but it was worth the wait because until I saw the trophy being hoisted above the player's head, it didn't feel quite real. So now once you see that, then for me it kind of kicked in that we've actually done it. No one can take anything away from us, and it's it's our name that has been engraved on the trophy.
Arsenal, Premier League champions 2025, 2025-26. It actually feels good to say that. It's the kind of thing when you win the league, it's sort of like if you have confidence that you're going to win it, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, but it's winning by 1,000 cuts. And we probably dealt the cuts to our rivals in that respect this season. Um, and you're right, Stan. I mean, we had 4 or 5 days between Tuesday till the Sunday, and then we were able to celebrate and enjoy the celebrations. But Arsenal, in deference, as we seem to be, which maybe we're a classy club, and we have that humility, and we are humble, that we allowed Crystal Palace, the players' families, to enjoy their lap of water and enjoy their time um, at the end of the season. And congratulations to Crystal Palace winning the European trophy as well. Uh, I do feel a little bit, as a side note, a little bit irritated that when we were in the Europa League, it was not as easy, let's say, to win as it has been in recent years, and the other conference league or whatever other mechanisms there are for, let's say, teams that are outside of the top four to actually try to win a trophy. The other thing that annoyed me a little bit is that the media seemed to focus on Tottenham and West Ham and the relegation dogfight. But with all that being said, it was.
Well, they are the league says got in there. So I mean, we had already won.
Understand? Yeah, Tony, I understand that. I was already going to let Tony have the mic, but he took the mic, he ripped it right out of my hands, and he's coming back in. So we'll let him have a say, Stan.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Paris had to have their end of season celebrations as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good to see everybody enjoying themselves. The away fans, the players, the manager, the families, and so forth. It was, it's a good feeling, right? We've been waiting 22 years for this.
Tony.
And on my change.
Yes, as I play around with this format. Sorry.
Good old Mega.
Yeah. What was your?
Mega?
Did you allow yourself a moment to enjoy it, Tony? Tony, did you allow yourself a moment to enjoy the celebration before you got back to complaining about the minutes that the players had this season?
And whether you want it or not. It's always has to use have minutes on Sunday.
Yeah, and look,
And
listen.
you can't do that.
And listen, Tony, Stan, I will now go to the Mikel Arteta interview afterwards where he mentioned moments of doubt, Stan. So talking about what Tony's saying, listen, yeah, Mikel Arteta is a manager, or first-time manager at Arsenal, first-time manager at any club, Arsenal being. And he did admit to having those moments, Stan, that we showcased and we talked about for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, a number of our audience are saying that they can't hear what Tony's saying, which could be a good thing. Who knows? But they can't hear. I can't hear what Tony's saying, so I don't know what your connection is like. But
He's been embargoed.
yeah. But sorry, your question again was?
No, just Tony talked about Mikel Arteta not allocating the minutes correctly. And listen, you and I think we would agree that the lesser lights in the squad should have gotten more minutes, particularly at the start of the season. But Mikel Arteta, I think he's evolving and growing.
Yeah, you were saying about his
more of his squad.
You were saying about his interview, and yeah, it's an interview sort of for Mikel Arteta that I've never seen before. He was very open, and he did show quite a lot of vulnerability. And he said that he found himself on occasion during the course of the season, questioning himself and asking, whether this was as far as he could take this team, and whether somebody else would need to come in to put the cherry on the cake. And I thought that was quite honest of him.
Yeah.
To reveal that. It does show a lot of vulnerability, but we are all human. We all have emotions, and it's good to kind of see that from the manager, rather than just coming out with the robotic cliches that some people come out with in interviews. It was good to get an idea of his mindset, and you could, for him as a person, getting us over the line and finally winning the Premier League is probably a huge weight that's been lifted from him. And I would probably guess that his family are quite pleased as well, because if he's happy, then the household will be happy, kind of thing. Like they say, happy wife, happy life. I don't know what it is for husband, but he said as well that he decided that he wasn't going to stay to watch the Man City Bournemouth game. He said that Martin Odegaard, the captain, came to him and said, "Listen, the boys have suggested that we're all going to watch that game here." And originally Mikel said that, yeah, okay, let's do that. But then as it got nearer to the game, he said that he didn't feel that he had the right energy he needed to project around the team. So he said that he decided to go home. And even when he was driving home, he wasn't listening to the game. Apparently, he said that he was listening to music.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I don't know what's in his CD changer. I kind of envisage him listening to Enya for some reason.
Something
listening
very
to
calming. Yeah.
something like Enya.
Inspirational.
Those of you that are as old as me will remember Enya. That kind of music. I can't imagine him driving home and listening to sort of like dubstep.
Give you the feels. Something that's going to give you the feels, right?
I don't see him listening to dubstep or some grime, whatever it is the kids on the streets are listening to these days. I've got him driving along, obeying the speed limit, listening to a bit of Enya, and then he said that he got home, he said that he came in and he could hear that his children were watching the game, so he just shouted out, "I'm home!" Didn't even look at the game, went straight into the garden and fired up the barbecue. Yeah, which is probably something that he learned. He learned those skills probably from Edu on how to fire up a barbecue, no matter what the weather. All the tips that you need to be a great barbecue skills person. And then he said eventually he was cooking the barbecue, and then one of his children came running out into the garden with tears in his eyes and grabbed hold of him and said that we've won the Premier League. So yes. He then decided later on that he went back to the club later on, and then I think he said that they went out for a meal in London somewhere.
Yeah, amazing. First, unpack a few things there, and then we'll go to Tony. Right? He went to the stadium. Martin Odegaard, as you said, told him, but Mikel said he didn't feel right about it. It's a little bit like the boss hanging out with the employees, and tell them, go on, have a raucous night. You can have some drinks, but you really feel it.
Yeah, if you invite the boss around your house for some sort of a party, everyone knows no one's going to get the bong out until he leaves. and that's all they're waiting for. They're waiting for
I
him to
might.
leave so they can get the bong out. And
Tony
get on.
would. Tony would.
Me or
Yeah, Tony
Stan
would.
might.
Tony would, but Tony wouldn't have a job in the morning, so he'd be going straight into HR.
Tony was. You wouldn't be the kit man anymore, Tony. You know what I mean? But yeah, listen. People criticize Mikel Arteta for being arrogant and all of these things. I think all of that comes from rival fans. But for him to have the level of intelligence to know the boys are doing this, they're watching the game by themselves, and I don't want to be there to inhibit them, because that's a team. That's a team that is in the dressing room. And when the manager walks into the dressing room, that's when it's time to really work. But it's kind of two different entities. And then for him to have the emotion, like the things that we say in these podcasts, do we think that Mikel was the right man for the job? The question marks that we had over previous seasons. We lost the Europa League final or semi-final, wasn't it? We didn't get to the final because of some of the decisions he made. And for him, I think everybody in every walk of life will have doubt in their minds about something, about doing something in their life. And just to take inspiration from that and lean into others, as Mikel said, he took comfort from his wife, and she really told him and gave him the confidence to do that. And everybody's got to have somebody that they can be a confidant to and with, you know what I mean? And so these are real things that managers must feel. Like even like Mikel's now won the Premier League, but every other manager after who hasn't won anything this season will feel some kind of pressure put upon them.
And yeah, I mean, we went into this with a huge handicap, right? We took on a manager after Unai Emery who had no managerial experience, none. Usually a big club, you're going to have someone that's got something under their belt, something that they can draw on, and it's the equivalent of us going over to somewhere like Brazil, finding like a 16-year-old kid who's got great potential, bringing him back to England and putting him straight in the first team. Exactly the same. The guy's going to have to sink or swim, learn on the job, and that's what we've had to go through. We've had to go through the pains of a manager who's learning while he's working.
Yeah. So, Tony, to your point, you are correct. Mikel Arteta and some other managers make mistakes. Certain players did not get the minutes that they should have probably gotten this season, but he is still learning on the job. I mean, what is it? 6 or 7 years in the life of a manager. It's probably a very small.
We can't say it 7 years on, right? He should have learned how to manage by now.
He is. So I think every one of those players would tell you that he is an excellent man manager. Every one of those players are going to run through a brick wall for him. What he needs to do is understand when certain players are being played too much, and when and where he can introduce mechanisms like Miles Lewis Skelly in midfield. Go ahead.
So you think Benny Blanco is perfectly fine being played through injury, getting an injury, then getting another injury, all leg ones, all could have been rested and avoided, but it wasn't.
Well, I don't think we were in a great situation because Ben White.
And there was always an easy solution, right? Which he did last year, near the end of the year. And I think it was the Champions League quarterfinals. It might be in the semis where he played White as a center back. He went with a back three because he knew White couldn't go up and down the pitch.
Well, he also did that because we had an injury.
With a set of eyes.
Well, hold on a sec. Hold on. He had an injury to Gabriel. Gabriel was injured last season when Ben White had to play centre back. And that game, I think, was against Bayern Munich. I think it was a 2-2 game, right? And Yeah, so I think Ben White has had some injuries over the last 2 seasons. And injuries are something that's going to happen. Sometimes all players are different. Sometimes players can get through an injury and play well the next season, and then other times injuries can dog a player. And Ben White's had very few games in the last 2 seasons as well. So now we are in an uncomfortable position where Urian Timber, I think, is just trained today. He won't be able to start the Champions League final, and Ben White. But we're going to pin our hopes on Christian Mosquera, who, for me, I think that Christian Mosquera has done well this season.
Who's that be your two full backs, last wing backs?
What?
Who you're playing on? So who's that be your two full backs, last wing backs?
Well, I think it's going to have to be Christian Mosquera to start, and for me, I would go with Hincapi. I just like his dogged determination and attention to defending. And I don't know where you or Stan. Maybe Stan's going to go with Hincapi as well, but I'm
Uh,
not sure.
uh, 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 on him, do we have an option to buy, or is that I don't think it's an obligation to buy.
Who?
It's just an
Hincapi.
option to buy.
Well, let's just
Yeah,
preview.
Hincapi.
We can worry about Hincapi. I think we have an option to buy him, Hincapi. So I think that deal should get done. He's proved his worth in the club, and he seems to be a target by Ben White now. Ben White seems to prank him a lot. You know, the drawers kept coming down at Sellers Park. He lost his drawers in the I think it was the Burnley game as well. So that might be a running joke on Piero and Capi right now. But Tony, who would you go for at left back?
I'm not really sure. You don't have too many options, really. I don't feel confident in Calafiori because I think PSG would just have a field day with him being there, unless they actually play disciplined defense, which we really don't see him do. We see him going forward. So
Yeah,
I think it would be difficult for him to play his normal game.
yeah. There's going to be a couple of calls by the manager here, Stan, as to what the lineup. And I think there's 3 or 4 areas in the field where it could go one way or the other in terms of what Mikel Arteta is going to do in a Champions League final. Well, let's focus on the left back position, Stan.
Well, hold on a minute, because you were talking about the right back a moment ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, Timber has said that he might be, he is probably training or whatever, but it's going to be, I think, a big gamble to put someone in. He's going to be what I would call, he's running cold, right? First game, such an important game. Benjamin Wright isn't available. You would think that the obvious choice is going to be Mosquera, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that at right back you're going to see Martin Zubimendi. That's what I think is going to happen. And I really hope that's not the way it goes, but I think that Mikel Arteta is going to look at it and think, well, this is such a one-off important game. Who can I trust? And I think if you look at the last game, did Martin Zubimendi come on late?
West Ham.
And where was he playing?
The Burnley game or the West Ham game or the Palace game?
I think it was the Burnley game.
Sorry,
the Palace game.
The Palace game was the last game. I think Zubimendi did come on, but I don't know.
What position did he go to?
I don't know. You're saying right back, aren't you?
That's what I think I saw.
But
I'm thinking to myself, is this like a dress rehearsal?
Can we, or is it just like, because we talked last Thursday.
We know Yeah, but we know what Mikel Arteta is capable of.
Well, we
right?
talked last Thursday.
know
We
what he's-
said he's going to put a mishmash team out, a patchwork team out, and that's the way we wanted to see it.
Look, if
And
Thomas
that's
if
what
Thomas Partey was still here, he'd probably turn out right back. We
Yeah.
know that Mikel Arteta has an MO where he wants to get as many of his trusted corporals into the side. You know, those people, and I think that,
Well,
what he's going to do is right. He's going to go with. I think he's going to go with Zubamendi at right back, and the midfield will probably consist of, well, obviously Rice,
Skelly.
Skelly, and
Odegaard.
Rice, Odegaard, and Skelly. Or it could be Rice, Odegaard, and Eze, depending on where he wants to go. Because Miles Lewis Skelly revealed that in training, he's been playing in midfield since December.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't been training as a fullback, and then as the running of the season, his position was changed. During training, he plays as a midfielder.
Do you know what I think? The injury to Mikel Merino probably forced Skelly training into midfield.
Yeah, probably.
Because we would be down a man in the squad, in a valuable squad player, Mikel Merino. But by the way, he'll be probably sitting on the bench, but he could have a very, very key part to play in the final. I also believe Eze will be sitting on the bench. So when we look at the bench on Saturday, it will look a lot different than to the semi-final from last season.
Oh yeah,
but, you know what I mean. But I hope that you're wrong in the Zubamendi shout.
So do I.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we put a side out on.
What I really hope is that he doesn't go absolutely fucking mental.
Well,
and put Declan Rice at right back with Zubamendi in the midfield.
Well, we just got through praising Mikel Arteta for evolving as a manager.
We've seen a left back this season.
But I think that
left back.
But he won't surprise me, and I'm concerned that that's the way that we're going to go. And I agree with BX saying, Super JP12, who's a new name in the chat that I've not seen before, so welcome. But Super JP12 says that Zubi doesn't have the legs for right back. He's not the best athlete, and I would agree with that. But I'm just going by, Mikel Arteta's MO, and we've seen him do these things before where he tries to overthink something and he makes some of these kind of decisions.
Well, I think we're getting past
Xhaka at left back for 2 games. I mean, we've seen it happen before. So it does concern me that whether he's going to do that. Because, Mosquera isn't a fullback, he's a central defender. But, he's adequate in that position. We've seen him play in that position. He hasn't looked too out of place. But I'm not sure whether Mikel Arteta has the trust to play him at right back in the Champions League final. Moving to the left back situation, it all depends on what the manager's mindset is. If he wants to go at PSG from the off, he'll start with Calafiori. Because Calafiori does have more of a penchant to make things happen, make things happen in a creative sense, whether it's being in the box and trying to get one in or a clever little pass. Henkape has more, for me, appears to be more of a defensively minded fullback as opposed to how Calafiori is used. And I think if both are fit, I think he'll go with Calafiori because he seems to be, one of Mikel's favourites. I know he likes them, but he likes them both. But I think that if both are fit and he can only choose one, I think he goes for Calafiori.
Yeah, we have a new.
I think he's more likely to pick Calafiori.
Well, there's a couple of different ways to go. There are a couple of different ways to go with many of the selections, and that's why I think our squad is very, very well set for different circumstances. There's going to be a question mark whether it's going to be Havertz or Gyökeres starts, but I feel like both.
Don't start that, Ray.
All right, well, you just let me say my piece here. All right, you know, Havertz or Gyökeres, and we'll see which there's validity in each thing, right? The Havertz for ball control and bringing our wingers into the game. Gyökeres for being a physical um, entity. Eze or Odegaard. Eze is probably a little bit more cavalier, a little bit more attacking. Odegaard's a little bit more going to hold the ball a little bit more. Uh, Hincapi or Calafiori. Calafiori is going to be again more enterprising, more attacking, and Hincapi is going to be defensively sound. And whatever way, as many of the people in the chat have said, whatever way the Mikel Arteta chooses to set up, I think I will support it. Now you can either Mikel Arteta, you can either go for it, or you can either be a little bit circumspect and solid defensively and solid in midfield, and keep the game tight and frustrate PSG. Don't allow them to be marauding all over the field, because PSG are a team that win. Um, they 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 thrive in the open spaces, and if the game transitions fast, that's where they're going to be at their best. And our job will be probably to control the game more. Yeah, there are some misfits, as I want Eze on left wing. That's another discussion. Martinelli or Trossard as well. Martinelli defensively and has some pace, or Trossard technically and able to hold on to the ball. So it's going to be fascinating, Stan, as to how Mikel Arteta sets up. It will be viewed by Arsenal fans and by the media as maybe a little bit defensively minded if we go with the likes of Hincapi, Odegaard, and let's say Havertz and Trossard. Trying to maintain the possession. And if you maintain the possession as much as possible, you then limit PSG from the attacking potential that they could have on us.
Yeah, I think Havertz will find his way into the team somewhere, because I think he's kind of proven to Mikel Arteta that in a big game that he can come up with the goods. I mean, he won the Champions League for Chelsea. A few years ago with a winning goal. He basically scored the goal that won us the league. Even though we didn't know that we'd won the league, it wouldn't surprise me if Havertz starts. I don't think it will be in the midfield. I think he'll probably get the start ahead of Gyökeres, but in saying that, depending on how the game goes, I think Gyökeres will still get on the field.
Yeah, 100%. And listen, This could be one of those Champions League finals that goes more than 2 hours. Let me just say that much. You know what I mean? So it's going to be important when we get to the 65th, 70th minute, what we're going to do with our substitutions. And how Mikel Arteta is going to use them. Super's JP12 said, I did the same thing. I stopped watching the City game after halftime, came back 15 minutes before the end. If Mikel wins the Champions League, he's the best manager we ever had. That must be acknowledged by the fan base. Yeah, it's something that no Arsenal manager has done, And this is a competition we've talked about for a few seasons now, and now we are in it. BX Gunner says, I've been humbled beyond belief. When it comes to Arteta, I can't deny what he's accomplished. Listen, I was going through the record books. We're going to dip in and out of the Premier League and the Champions League tonight. But I was going through the record books, and, we've won it now 14 times. We've won the Premier League 14 times. And it goes something like this. We won it for the first time under Herbert Chapman in 1934, 1931, 1933,
Who invented a WM formation.
WM formation. And then Joe Shaw took over in the 1934 season because unfortunately Herbert Chapman passed away mid-season, I think from pneumonia. And then it goes to 1938, 1935, and 1938. George Allison won two titles. Tom Whitaker won two titles in 1948 and 1953. And Stan, you know who was the manager in 1971? Bertie Mee.
Yeah, Bertie Mee.
Yeah. And then George Graham won it in 1989 and 1991. And Arsene Wenger won it three times, 98, 2000, and 2000. 98, 2002, I think it was, and 2004. And Mikel Arteta. So, that's he's amongst a few names who have just won the title for Arsenal as a manager. So has to be recognised. And the Champions League is the holy grail, Stan. We talk about this all the time. We can't dine out on the Champions League until we win it.
Yeah, listen, just before we go any further, as we're just over the half an hour mark, I just need to take care of a little bit of housekeeping, if I may. For this week's show, I've received another sponsor. If you remember the last sponsor I had, it was for the Briscoe Brothers car repair shop in Florida. For this show, and I have to say, it's myself that's been sponsored, not the show. I did speak to the sponsor about this, but they didn't want to attach themselves to anything that Tony Turner was connected to.
Yes.
Some of his views and behaviour, they just couldn't get behind. So I have been sponsored. And the sponsorship for me for this show is Lay's.
Lay's.
And they've sent me a packet of
Thierry Henry.
As you can see there, they sent me a packet of their Thierry Henry cheese souffle crisps. And there's the man. There he is.
Are they from 1998?
There he is.
Are they from the World Cup in 1998?
No, there's a new out. And so I'm gonna open these and give them a little taste because I have no idea what cheese souffle crisps or as.
Where'd you get them, Stan?
Lay's. They sent them to me. They asked me to promote this for my sponsorship for the show. So
all right, PT.
I'm gonna open these and see what they taste like. Okay, here we go.
What is a cheese souffle?
Thierry Henry cheese souffle.
Let's see the texture.
I mean, I'm from England. These are crisps, but I'm now a Canadian citizen. I became a Canadian citizen on May the 14th. By the way,
congratulations.
So I now have to call these potato chips, I believe.
Yes,
the name for them. So I'm going to give these a little taste now, just to see the.
Gotta go again.
They're not bad.
Okay.
I'm getting a kind of a cheddar cheese kind of a flavour thing going on. Okay. I'm not sure if I don't understand where the souffle bit comes from personally. But so tonight's show, well, I'm not going to say tonight's show. I've been brought to you tonight, not the show. I've been brought to you tonight by Lay's, Thierry
Henry, nice
cheese souffle. As part of the deal, I do have to promote these twice during the course of the evening. So that was the first one. I will be coming back to these later on in the show. So I do apologise. Thank you for allowing me to take care of that piece of housekeeping. And back to the show.
I knew nothing. I knew nothing about this. So
why would you? Why would you? Their people spoke to my people. My people spoke to their people.
Right.
You wasn't involved in this, I'm afraid. Right.
So this was a little bit. It was the opposite of a hydration break. It was a dehydration break because you're gonna have to wet your whistle after you eat some of those, right? As they say.
Yeah, but if you put salt in there, then it's like taking a salt pill. You'll be more hydrated.
And 316 just said that this could be the only lay that I'll get in a while. And he could be right, because the missus came in from work just a few minutes ago, and her face was like thunder when she saw that I didn't empty the cat litter today. So he could be right. He could be right.
You just dump it in the colander. You know what I mean?
Put it this way: the litter box at the moment, it looks a little bit like it's resembling Stonehenge at the moment. Okay. So I'll have to sort that out after the
show. Super JP said he's elite modern manager. You see how the players are hypnotized by Mikel when he's giving a speech in the dressing room. They're totally tuned in. And listen, that's all that matters. Rival fans and even some of our own fans who feel like it's been weird. There's only you only need the 25 people in the room, the people who are in the room with you, to buy into it. The squad, you know. Super JP said, whatever Arteta chooses, I'm going to trust. He knows more than me. True. And the players have said it. You know, when he talks, he's told them about situations they're going to find themselves on the pitch. I think Arteta's learned to trust his players. I believe Mascara starts, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, BX Gunner. Mascara's a little bit raw. He's going to get found out. He's going to get found out in some games, but he has the pace and the recovery to get back in games. We talk about that Brentford game away from home at times as well. You know, Barcelona are interested in Hincapi. And Anthony Gordon's gone to Barcelona as well. Can you believe that? And I don't know if this is true, but, you know, we were thinking about maybe Julian Alvarez from Atletico Madrid. Possibly Barcelona are looking at him as well, you know. So, yes, it's a World Cup year and things could happen in the first couple of weeks or in the last couple of weeks of the season. I would start at Hincapi, said Arsenal Misfit, and then bring on Calafiori to run at them. Like, it's going to be interesting. The good thing, Tony, is that we'll have the players on the bench that Mikel Arteta can turn to in the 65th or 70th minute.
Yeah, but you just don't want to get it wrong. That would start and be down a quick goal or 2 goals from them attacking our full backs from the wings.
It's going to be, yeah, I agree exactly what you're saying. It's going to be an interesting thing, Stan, that we looked at the semifinals and a lot of fans, football fans, let's say, who enjoy the game, they were very interested to watch PSG versus Bayern as goals flew in left, right, and center. But you could actually argue that PSG will be facing a really good team in Arsenal, and let's not underestimate what we could do on Saturday. Like, we are not going to concede 5 goals. I mean, here, hopefully this is not words that I regret, but we will not concede 5 goals in 90 minutes.
Hey, you know? I guess since we're talking about the Champions League, I can change the color of the lights.
Blue.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Stan, what do you think defensively? PSG will not have come up against a team like us.
No, I mean, you know, we have played them in the past. Played them in the semi-final last year, and they got the better of us over 2 legs. But you know, the beauty of this is a one and done game. You know, there's no trying to keep it tight at the back to go into the next leg with some sort of an advantage. It has to be done on the day.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got a chance. We may not be the favourites. I mean, I think there's a good argument that we could be favourites. I mean, we haven't lost a single game up to this point in that competition.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to say something, right? And
yeah,
you know, I said, you know, I sort of said it. I said it tongue in cheek before, but it wouldn't really surprise me though if we were somehow made to get this game into extra time, go into penalties and we win because David Raya is able to save a couple of penalties. And I'm literally saying that, we'll strangle the win and maybe stink up the place to get the win. But at the end of the day, a win is a win.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I think surely, a team like Arsenal are just getting over the line of winning the Premier League. I think that the players are going to be more, I'm not going to say more up for it because they would be up for the game anyway, but I think that they will have more confidence as a team, knowing that if they do their jobs and they work together, they've now had the proof that, they can achieve things. So I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be here.
I'm not going to give a prediction because I just don't think it's a game that I'm able to predict. I really don't think I can,
Yeah. Well, you can give a prediction. You know.
I'm not. I'm not going
to. We've had people. Who was it who wouldn't give?
And you can't make me. So
was it Lawrence who wouldn't give predictions? Right?
That's right. I'm doing a Lawrence. I'm pulling Lawrence.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give a prediction, but I back the team to win.
Yeah. Super JP said Zubimendi doesn't have the legs for right back. Right? We all agree with that, right? He's not the best athlete. I do like Calafiori and Miles Lewis Skelly combination on the pitch. Then bombard the midfield. BX kind of said. Whoever plays, he will have that defense drilled. Definitely. Your 316 Mascara can't handle Kvara. We need two players on him. Yeah, Kvara can be scary at the best of times. Sean's in the house. Yeah, Sean, it was beautiful watching us lift that trophy on Sunday. Now all eyes on Budapest. We win it 1-0, set piece, Ole, goal scorer, Havertz. Yeah, listen, we can have lots of fun with who the goal scorer could be. We actually talked about this months ago, I think, in the hope that we would get to the final and who would be a surprise goal scorer for us. You know what I mean? It would be just any Arsenal player. There's going to be a great story if any of the Arsenal players score the winning goal or more than one goal. Mascara's got more reach and can cover and recover quickly. He can handle it, says BX. Yeah, I think his pace is going to be critical against Kvara. And I think Kvara is a player that you're going to have to shepherd to certain areas of the pitch and not let him enter into the box. You know what I mean? Just don't start with Odegaard, Zubimendi, and Anelli.
Well, I think you're going to be disappointed because I don't see any way that if Martin Odegaard is fit, that Mikel Arteta will not start Martin Odegaard in the midfield, right, the captain. I do not see Martin Odegaard being on the bench if he's ready to go. I just don't see that.
I agree. Trossard could play over Martinelli, and I believe that Trossard should play over Martinelli myself. And I really feel like Miles Lewis Skelly and Declan Rice could really be the winning of the game. But I also understand if he would go with Zubimendi and Rice in midfield, But it'll be interesting to see. Calafiori for me, says Super JP, we need to push up the pitch. Sean said we should play our best football 11 and not giving PSG that much respect. I think by saying we deserve to be in the final and need to come out as such, we are underdogs, but I think we will surprise PSG. And I think that's interesting. Stan touched it. I'll go to you then, Tony. That's interesting, Stan. You touched upon it. That we will be seen by the media and rival fans as being the underdogs, but there's a very, 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 very big case to say that we could actually be favorites. I'm not trying to build us up too much. We could actually be a shade of favorites in many people's minds because we have been the best team throughout the season in Europe. We do have the best defensive record. and we have some players that can hurt them. So
Can I just say before Tony speaks, I don't really care about this. Who's the underdog and who's the favourite? I really don't. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
do you remember that young kid? Do you remember that young kid, David? He was an underdog, wasn't he? He had to have that fight with the big giant.
He had a dog in him.
Giant Goliath. He was the underdog going into that one, and we done all right.
They say it's not the size of the dog, but what is it? It's not the fight. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog that matters. Tony.
And we've seen this with Leicester. We beat them twice. They were, I forget their odds to win, but it was very far-fetched thing than winning a title, and they did. But I was asking, Ray, do you go more by the eye test, or do you go more by the stats going into this final game of the season?
Now, in regards to what, though?
I'll just give you an example. 2.7 goals per 90, that's 86th percentile. 2.7 assists per 90, that's 95th percentile. 0.54 GA per 90, that's 93rd percentile. Then you got 0.33 XG, that's 86th percentile. And that would be one Trossard. Trossard would have those.
It can be clutch. Yeah.
So I think it would be stupid to start Martinelli unless you're just going for that speed. But we know the finishing just usually isn't in there with the speed.
It's going to be.
I'd rather Trossard to find somebody like Eze, Odegaard, Gyökeres, or even Kai, because we seen that pass last season that Kai almost missed the header because it was right in front of his face. He didn't expect it there, but
it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating. What do we respect? Stan, do we respect the stats that Martinelli has had in the Champions League over the Premier League? Does that lead us to something like it's easier for that profile of a player to play in the Champions League over the Premier League, or has there been kind of dross in the Champions League that Martinelli's prospered in?
I don't think there's been dross. We've played a lot of good teams to get to where we've gotten to, and it's a very good question because Martinelli this season, I think he's only scored one goal in the league, right?
A vital one, but yeah,
a very vital goal. But in the Champions League, he's had a very good outing this season for us.
Yes.
So again, that's going to give the manager, something to think about, And I would always say, somebody said earlier that we start with Hencape, and then later on in the game we have Calafiori that can come on and run at them. But what if we go the other way? What if we want to start quickly and try to get a goal as quickly as possible, and a player like Martinelli on the pitch, who's a very direct player, could help with that. And if we can get a goal, and it gets later on into the game, then maybe we can do substitutions where we kind of like close up the shop a little bit. And by doing that, you could bring on a player like a Trossard. You could take off a Calafiori for a Hencape and try and have a more, a defensively minded team coming out of the game rather than going into it, because someone's got to win this game. Someone's got to come out of this game a winner. There's no other fixture. There's no second leg. It's got to be done. So
on the night,
I think that Mikel and the coaching team will be looking at this, and it all depends on which way do they want to go. Do they want to come out of the blocks as quickly as possible with a lot of energy and try and get a goal, or do they want to try and be very pensive at the start of the game and try to get into the game a bit later? It all depends on what way they want to go. But it's great that we're in a position now where we have these options, right? Because a couple of seasons ago, we just didn't really have a plan B. And as you mentioned, when we played, PSG in the semi-final, you could almost see Mikel Arteta looking at the bench and thinking, like, well, who is there? Who is there? I mean, I've got three kids. I've got 3 kids on the bench. They're not getting on.
Yeah,
they're not getting on. They're just a bit of experience, but we're not in that position now. We do have options,
Yeah, last season we had a lack of squad depth and we had injuries, which combined for not very good things when you needed something from the bench. This season and this game, Mikel Arteta will be able to use the full strength of his squad and be able to build a tactical plan to attack Luis Enrique. And listen, you're your 316. You're probably correct. Enrique will massively outsmart Arteta. That's depending, right? With the attacking plays miles ahead, it is a bit scary what Luis Enrique could do, but I think many of us maybe underestimate what Mikel Arteta could do on the night as well. What if Mikel Arteta outsmarts Luis Enrique? Does he get his flowers then? You know what I mean? It's very, very, very possible. Do you know what I mean?
But also, the managers can only do so much. You know, they can only do so much. Once the players cross the white line, it is in the hands of the performance.
Yeah,
and that's why I've said on this broadcast many a times that, you know, I understand that Arsenal's not going to win every single game that they play, but for me, if we do lose games, it's always about the manner of the loss. If we don't come out of this game the winners, but I can see that every player gave it their all and left everything on the pitch, I can't be angry at them. I can't. But if we lose the game and, you know, you can see that we didn't play to our full potential for whatever reason, then you can have an inquest. Then you can start looking at, well, what happened there? You know, it's 90 minutes. You know, and if the players want this glory, they've got to play to the best that they can. And maybe if our defence can play as good as our defence player has been for the past few seasons, and our off the ball play, maybe that's how we win it. Because obviously, you know, on paper, you know, you look at Paris Saint-Germain and you look at the options that they have in the attacking part of their game, and you would have to say that they have better options than we do
going forward.
Hang on as well. Big shout out to a couple that have joined us as well. Good to see Moss. Hiya, Moss. Moss has come in. And also Gary as well. Gary with his trademark hello, hello.
Big up, Gary, the WTT. Don't waste the trip. Arsenal have taken the trip to Budapest. Let's not try to waste the trip. You know what I mean? Let's try and get that win out there. And I believe me, I want to win the Champions League. I've seen Arsenal win the Premier League quite a few times, and whilst I'm happy and ecstatic about our win 22 years later, you know, there's nothing like a final, and the immediacy and the in the moment it is like winning a Premier League is game after game after game. It's probably like 200 days of angst and going to bed and saying there's one more sleep and we'll play the next team and hopefully we'll get 3 more points to add to the kitty. A Champions League is so much on the day, and it's like an FA Cup final, which is always amazing, but it's like amplified by five to 10 times. And so, you know, I don't want to say this because it's true, but you know, somebody like a Pep Guardiola or even PSG, it took them several times. It took them several finals to actually go and win it. I hope we actually win it at the first opportunity of getting to the final. I hope we go on to win it, but there will be, and hopefully there will be many, many other nights after this.
Also, as well, as good as Man City have been over the last decade, and Pep Guardiola, I'm pretty sure that they've gone into Champions League finals being the favourite, and they've left with nothing
against Chelsea and Havertz.
And I think it can happen, right? So,
yeah. Yer said we need Malzu, Skelly, Saka as a Trossard. We cannot we're going to have to sit back and counter. Play Mourinho up front, in my opinion. Havertz will get sent off. And Mourinho has just come back from injury, so there's no way that Mourinho is going to start the game. I would play Damon. That's a big shout. Damon ahead of Miles Lewis Skelly. Damon will likely be an unused substitute unless who knows. How many subs are there, Tony? 5 in the Champions
There is
League.
5.
There is 5, but you can
Yep.
bring 9. You can bring 9 to the bench, right?
Yep.
Raya Mosquera, assuming Timber is unfit. Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Rice, Mazu, Skelly, Eze, Saka, Havertz, Trossard is how I believe Arteta will set up. I'd also entertain Eze left wing and Odegaard at 10. I think, Tony, we have found a mechanism with Declan Rice moving back to the number 6. I think that's his best position.
I think he's best attacking. He can get those goals in there. You've seen what he can do from free kicks up there. I think he's best going forward. I think
You never
Zubimendi is
agree with
better
me.
defensive mid. I think he's better traveling the ball up there. So I think it gives Bryce more of a free rein to move forward and get into attacking position.
Okay,
And I
so
think that's what you'll probably. And that kind of will give you a leg up on this game is doing attacking through the middle.
right. So you think Declan Rice is going to be is better in that left 8 position? I actually think in the last 5 or 6 games in the Premier League, Mikel Arteta recognized Zubimendi was playing too many minutes, getting tired, and Rice was brought back into that number 6 position. And actually,
well, that's one man's fault, Ray, because Norgard has been fully available.
yeah, well,
Like I said, he played more
you
minutes
can't play
on Sunday.
Norgard. You can't play Norgard in a run-in when you need the points. You know what I mean? You just couldn't. You
why
can't
not,
do it
Ray?
because you'd have Declan Rice, you'd have Zubimendi, you'd have Odegaard, you'd have Eze, you'd have Miles Lewis Skelly.
You think Norgard would do any worse than the team did in April, Ray? Do you remember how abysmal April was? That
Yes,
Stan's
I remember.
meter went to 70%.
Listen,
Out.
Southampton away to Southampton was a poor performance, but Norgard was in that team as well. He didn't solidify. He didn't solidify the team enough for me in that situation. But I think Declan Rice. You and I differ on Declan Rice. I think that we've looked better with him coming back to the number 6 position. So Stan's going to have to be the deadlock breaker here, the tiebreaker on this one. Declan Rice, where are you playing Declan Rice then?
It all depends how we set up. Are we going to set up with, for a lot of the season, we set up with a. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having some connection difficulties here. We've played a lot of games, haven't we, with a double pivot of Zubimendi and Rice.
Yeah.
And then later on in the season, we went to more of a Rice playing deep with 2 in front of him with more creativity. So again, it's which way are they going to go? Are we going to come out cautious and pensive, or are we set up to go for it from the off? So I'm so looking forward to when we get to that time of the day when we can all get on our phones and see what the lineup is to get a better understanding of it, because I haven't got a clue how the manager's going to do this at all. I don't think anybody has, right?
No, I think you could probably say Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, and feel confident that he's going to go back to that for that, trying to dominate midfield a little bit. But you got Miles.
But you never know with him.
Yeah, you got Miles Lewis Skelly, who has been a factor in there, and then at the back, obviously, the injuries to Timber and Ben White tell you it maybe probably is Mosquera. We know the central defensive colossus of Gabriel and Saliba are definitely the pillars of this team, and as they go, we will go in the game, and then Hincapie or Calafiori.
Do you think you could? Do you think you could go back to Skelly playing left back? He did put a foot wrong in it last season.
Who?
Staley as the left back.
Yeah, I just think that we have really great choices between Calafiori and Hincapi, and throughout the season, they've kept Miles Lewis-Kelly off of the team sheet. Stan's thinking.
I mean, I just think as well that in a one-off game like this, I mean, I'd like to see Eze involved as well, because when it comes
he'll come in.
When it comes to like a jack-in-the-box player, a player that can score goals from on the edge of the penalty area and a little bit beyond, and will go for shots. Eze can do that. So it's all going to be about who the manager trusts. He's probably been watching all of the players since we've won the league and been watching them in training, and it's going to be who he believes as well has the mental capacity for this match as well, not just about fitness, which is one of the reasons why it's difficult for me to call a lineup and difficult for me to make a prediction, because I just haven't got a clue how the manager is going to set up. And as I mentioned earlier, it really wouldn't surprise me if Zubimendi starts at right back. I just have a feeling in my water that there's a high possibility of him doing that to fit more into the midfield, and because we don't have Timber and White available, he may go down that route. It really wouldn't surprise me.
We'll get through a few comments. I'm getting behind a little bit here. Yo said Yokra is not good enough for Arsenal. Needs replacing in the summer. He belongs outside with the other statues. A little harsh, maybe. That's your top goal scorer right there. Our biggest problem will be trying to press them against Bayern, the keeper or defenders. The keeper or defenders just booted the ball up the pitch out of touch and then flooded the throw in with players to win possession back. In my opinion, PSG says Super J12. In my opinion, PSG ain't as good as what people think. Yeah, I'm coming around to that. Watched the Villa game for last year. PSG ran the ropes in the last 20. Villa was running through them. Villa had 2 great chances to score. I think Arsenal will have to get the bit between their teeth, as we say, and build up a real head of steam against PSG. It's not. They're a pretty good team. They've got qualities, but they can be beaten. It's a shame Pep is leaving. Those City Arsenal games would have been epic next season. Maybe a nod to the charges being released in the summer, coming to a movie theater.
Do those matter though? We all realize what years those are from, don't we?
What?
Do you know what year they're from, right?
I
know
think
what year those charges are.
Tony, I think they matter now as much as they did 5 or 6 years ago. And
it wasn't 5 or 6 years ago, right? It was from 2009 to 2018, which included with stuff that they already had got charged for before, and using NYFC as a feeder club, and they did that with some of the Saudi League clubs as well, and they got in trouble for that stuff. But all those charges are from 8 to 17 years ago.
Can I just say on that? I think the problem is, Tony, as well, is that when Manchester City had their first hearing, it wasn't with the Premier League, it was with UEFA, and they had a rule that a lot of those emails that were leaked into the German newspaper Das Spiegel, they had to put a timestamp and say anything that was beyond a certain date couldn't be presented as evidence, whereas this case with the Premier League, they don't have a timestamp on evidence, so they've got a lot more at their disposal. And I think, the court case finished in 2024. Now the hearing is finished, all the evidence is in, and it's been 2 years now since the case has been closed, but they're still going through all of this evidence. And even if a guilty charge does come down, then there's an appeal that they can do, right? They're allowed to appeal it, and who knows how long that will take. So I don't think that there'll be a judgment
And
soon.
that court of sport attribute that court like basically says
Arbitration.
okay, the club's okay, we'll pardon them, whatever. But
I don't know, but to your point,
what
I think it's important.
is it?
Tony?
But what did I say before I left? You have
Or you got excited.
0.56 goals per 90, which makes it 98th percentile.
Oh, sorry.
0.61 goals plus assists, that gives you 96th percentile. 0.51 expected goals per 90, 96th percentile. The only bad one here is 0.04 assists per 90, which is 46%. Then you'll travel on down. Goals scored, 14, which makes it 0.58 per 90, 98th percentile. Goal involvement, 96. Goals at home, 99 percentile. Goals away, 94 percentile. And non-penalty expected goals, 94th percentile. And that is Bucharest, which for some reason a lot of our fans do not play there in. And he has bias goals in
What
any
do
goal.
all of those stats point to? Can you package them up for me?
When everything is 95 percentile up, except for his assists,
It's pretty good.
That means he's a pretty good.
Yeah.
And that doesn't factor in Arteta that put in a system for him to thrive in, and other things that could happen there.
Yeah.
But playing, I mean, you had him playing with Eze and Pissarro, where out of 14 games, they didn't lose a game. I think they only tied like 2 of those. So
I think, listen, to drill down into that, I don't think that there's nothing wrong with the stats of the player, and the player can do a job. I think what Mikel Arteta is going to be looking at is tactically what kind of player does he want to have there, and when will it be. I think Stan and I have said, and you might agree, that there's going to be minutes for Havertz and Gyökeres in this final. I don't think that Havertz is going to finish the game if he starts it, and I don't think Gyökeres is going to finish the game if he starts it. So then it becomes a decision of the manager tactically. How do you want to play this? Do you want to be physical in the first part of the game and tire them out a little bit, and then bring Havertz on in the second half and come up with some key plays that we're going to score the goal from? Maybe Gyökeres is involved in scoring the first goal for us, But what we have, Stan, I think, is we have 2 very viable options, and you're going to probably bring the third one, Mikel Merino, as an option late in the game as well. We have 2 options up front, maybe 3.
I'm just not sure about Timber and Merino having been out for so long.
Right, we're talking 10, 15 minutes for Mikel Merino, if that, right?
Oh, I mean, if it gets to the stage where we've got to throw the kitchen sink at it, and we're behind, then you've got no option, right? I mean, you're going to do it, but I'm not sure if it's a gamble that you take early on or start any of those, because they're coming in cold, right?
Yeah. In an ideal world, Stan, you've got 5 substitutions, right? What area? Let's not talk about the players, but what positions on the field would you think that you would use those 5 substitutions in? How about that?
Well, I think that he can make changes in the attack, midfield, and the defense.
Yeah,
they're the 3 areas of the pitch.
Left back.
I think left back you could see a change depending on who he decides to go with and how the game plays out.
Left wing.
I think it's the same for left wing.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's the same for the attack as well.
Yeah. So that's the least 3 positions, and then maybe a 4th position in midfield somewhere. You might always want to keep that 5th one, just in case you need to, break the glass, an emergency sort of deal. You know what I mean? I always said Odegaard, Martinelli, and Jesus will never win you trophies, and we win the league when they're not playing. Fair point. We always, when we had Jesus, aside from 6 months in his first season leading up to the World Cup, it wasn't even 6 months; it was probably 4 months. He came back with an injury; he was never quite the same player. But at the same time, I'm happy that Gabriel Jesus got to have a winner's medal and celebrate a 5th Premier League title, and one of them being with Arsenal. He might even actually cherish the Arsenal win more than the other 4. You know what I mean? Moss said, then it's the Canadian World Cup, right? Soccer is coming home, and Norway all the way. Holland up. Come on, Koeman, get it right. Okay. Moss is Norway. A Norwegian fan, maybe? Mossy. Yeah, Enrique. I hope that Mikel Arteta can hang with Luis Enrique in the final. I have a confidence that he can as well. Cannot wait for Saturday, says Moss. Yeah, what are we? Is this another section? Go for it, Stanley.
Well, I have been contractually obliged to make to do this twice in the show.
You sense the gap in the podcast. You sense the gap in the podcast. You
just to remind you all that I have been sponsored this week by Lay's. They have sent me a packet of their Thierry Henry cheese souffle, and these are now available at all good supermarkets and places where you can buy your snacks, and they're very nice. So
this was Stan playing on the shoulder of the last defender, and the ball was played through, and he scored. Thierry Henry style, Yeah, I mean, every time you show that one up, I just remember the meme of Thierry Henry by the corner flag in the Champions League final. 1 goal up with 15, 16 minutes to go in the Champions League. Hopefully we're in a better position on Saturday when we're about to win the competition. Your says PSG. This is true. PSG are experts at pulling players out of position, and we're experts at allowing teams to get 11 players back behind the ball. I think we play a little bit faster now. That used to be us. We used to be slow in our build-up. I think we're a little bit faster now in our build-up. That the ball gets to Bukayo Saka, gets to Trossard a little bit quicker.
We're faster in Europe. I don't think we're any faster in England.
We're faster in Europe. You don't think we're faster in the Premier League? Is what we're saying?
Yeah, it's pretty slow, methodical build-up.
Yeah, I agree with this. We need Krupi. I think his class looks like Thierry Henry, and I think he's a very good player. We should we should think about targets for the summer. It's not necessarily something we have to think about in this podcast, but will Arsenal want to do quick business in the summer?
Well, just on that, the name that's been coming up the most, we've been, there's always names linked, isn't there? But the one that seems to have the most traction so far is Morgan Rogers.
That's yeah.
Aston Villa.
Krupi and Morgan Rogers, right?
And even though Morgan Rogers has played a lot of games on the left for Villa, can play centrally as well. Maybe his favoured position, but has been very decent on the left. But for me, a player like Krupi, where are we going to play him? Who are we going to play him instead of?
Uh,
This is a
that's
player that
the
plays
left
week in,
wing.
week out. You'd think for me, for when I look at the lineup at Bournemouth, he always seems to be in the 10 position rather than on the wings. So, you know, as much as you might like the look of someone, you've got to think about, well, where they're going to fit in. Whose place are they going to take?
Yeah. And listen, there'll be that sentiment for players. It's natural. Um, for me, I'm happy that Leandro Trossard, for instance, right, a player that we've championed on this podcast even before he came to Arsenal. We talked about it leading up to that transfer window when he did come, that he would be an excellent player to fill our needs, and he's gone and won the Premier League finally after a few goals, and but the sentimentality has to be you have to be cold and professional in this game now because like it or, I mean we like it, right? We're looking at this from a the vantage point of we're at the top of the piece, we're at the top of the peak now in the Premier League, and you have to look at the landscape and who's going to come at you, right, next season. And they talked about it. If you've probably seen the overlay video. Uh,
The overlap.
have you seen it?
Do you know what? It's popped up on my timeline a few times, but that's the thumbnail with Gary Neville there. With his like jovial laughing so much he can't keep his eyes open.
Yeah.
If I was had power at Arsenal and I got contacted by Gary Neville saying that the overlap would like to come and visit Arsenal because we'd won the league, I'd just tell him to fuck off because he's been so backhanded the way he's been speaking about Arsenal this season. Mm-hmm. He's tried to cover his bets, saying, "Oh, I think Arsenal are gonna do it." But anytime we've stumbled, anytime there's been a bump in the road, he's really quick to jump on us. And it's almost like he was saying that we were going to win the league, almost through gritted teeth. So seeing his face on the thumbnail, all laughing and stuff, I don't know if I wanna. If I want to, buy into their channel and give them a click. So no, I haven't listened to it.
All right, or watched it even.
Is it any good? Have you seen it? Is it any good?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty good. It's pretty informative. Many of the players come over to talk. Josh Kroenke's there as well. Ian Wright, of course, super fan. Ian Wright is, and Josh Kroenke. So they talk about plans for the stadium. They're going to look at expanding the.
They've been talking about that since fucking December, right? There's nothing new about that. Might even been before the season.
That's 2 outbursts from you now.
Well, we've heard it. We know. We know we're looking at it. I think they were stupid by not including NFL games and other things there.
Oh yeah.
Now you have a 20. Now you have a 20th anniversary, and you know one thing, Ray, because they kept taking out loans against us, the stadium still isn't paid off, so they'll be taking loans against that loan
Tottenham
to pay for us.
I thought it was all paid off.
Nope, we borrowed money against it.
Okay, well, Okay. Spoiler alert, though, in this overlap video, if you do watch it, which was kind of nice because Mikel Arteta presented a gift to Gary Neville's stand, and within the bag, the gift was an Arsenal shirt that I think it said Neville on it, right? But written on the number 2, I think it was number 2, was written on it, to our biggest supporter, Gary Neville. It was a bit of a sideways dig, a little bit of a dig at Gary Neville. And yeah, he had that. How did you say his closed eyes smile, laughing, sort of,
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like a rat, to be honest. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, Gary Neville would make you not want to click on it, right? But was interesting. They talked about Miles Lewis Skelly as well. Was there talking about training since December, and Mikel Mourinho coming back, and hopefully, Ian Wright mentioning he could be the hero on Saturday as well. Moss Gunner watched that Netflix Vinnie Jones documentary.
I watched that yesterday. Funnily enough.
Yeah, we know Vinnie Jones back in the day. I do not miss getting tackled like that, though. Wow, things have changed. Miss the good old days. Yeah, there was some. What do they call those? The ones that just clear you out, sort of tackle. Clean you out. Isn't that what they used to call it? This is Damon's moment. It's written in the stars. I mean, that would be mad. We talked about whichever player is going to score and win the Champions League for Arsenal. It's going to be a storied. It's going to be a big story. I think Chelsea beating City was bigger shock than of Arsenal beat PSG. We can win. You have to believe. And I think, as you said, Stan, I saw a clip of Havertz. There's Havertz basically saying there's no real favourites in a final like this that's so close. You can't really say one team is a favourite over the other. It's gonna be. Will you even sleep tomorrow night, Stan?
Well, I wouldn't be.
Will you sleep?
Well, me, it's going to be difficult. I'll probably have a few beers to make me a bit drowsy. Go to bed quite early for a usual Friday night. Because I'm, going to be up at about 7:30 to make sure that I'm all ready for 8:00 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah.
So you don't watch it at home, or you go to a pub? Yeah.
No, I can't go to the pub, and it's just because if it doesn't go the way I want it to go, I don't want to be around a load of people and then having to go and get the bus back home. I'd rather be in my house. And I know that you see a lot of videos of people that when we won the league, or people putting out on social media that there were tears when we won, when I found out we won. I was really pleased, but for me, this is the game that's going to be more emotional for me personally.
Yeah.
If we win that game, then there probably will be some tears from myself, I have to say. And if we don't get what we want, and again, it all depends on the manner of the performance. I don't know if I want to be around a lot of people. I think I'd rather watch it from the safety of my home. And I haven't really been to the pub that many times this season. And I'm a bit superstitious. I'm like, the one time that I go down there, probably I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah. It'd be like fever pitch. If you go to the pub and we win, it'd be crazy. It'd be like fever pitch at the end of the day. And the same way you verbalize the stand is like, not that it's normal, but not that we see Arsenal win the league every year, but we've seen it 4, 5, 6 times. You know what I mean? 89, 91, and 98, 2002, 2004. So we've seen it 6 times now. And
don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'm bored of it. I love seeing it, and I've waited 22 years for this one. But for me, the Champions League for me is that's the promised land, man. That's the land of milk and honey, because and I've said it before, that's the table that we don't sit at. You're talking to your friends in the office or online or wherever it may be, or relatives, and you're giving each other a bit of banter. If they've already won a Champions League and that comes up, then you just have to go quiet. There's not a lot you can do. We just don't sit at that table. And I want to be able to tick that one off. I really do.
And there's only a few other sides that have done this. I think Liverpool have done it, Man United have done it, and Man City have done it. That they've won the league and the Champions League in the same year. You know what I mean? It might be Chelsea. I'm not sure.
Forest win it, the league and the Europe in the same season.
In the same season, did they really?
I'm asking you because they won it twice, right? They won the European Cup back to back. I don't know whether they won the league in those seasons.
Yeah, I mean they could have won it.
I'm pretty sure they did. I can't remember.
Well, let's say they won the league, because back then you had to be champions, right? Let's say they won the league, then the next season they won their first Champions League, right?
Or European Cup, yeah.
Yeah, or European Cup, right? I knew that's why I hesitated because I wasn't sure about what it's called. And then, as winners of the European Cup, you go into the competition in the next season, and they won it again. They won it twice. They defended it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's gonna be mad. It would be crazy. What a season that would be! Win the Premier League and win the Champions League in the same season for this group of players. You know.
So Ray, do you think any other country has won 3 separate European competitions in 1 year?
Any other country has won 3 separate European competitions. Yeah, I mean, it might have happened in Italy, right? It might have happened in Spain.
It was
Let's-
Italy. It was Italy.
How about Juventus?
But I don't think we had those competitions at the time, right? Now now teams have 3 opportunities to win
it
in
was
Europe.
different.
They got the
It
Champions
was
League, the Europa League, and
European.
the Conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Europa Cup, and then it was the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup. With the
I think
3
Chelsea's the only
competitions.
team that's won all 3 competitions, right? Chelsea have won all 3 of those.
One thing that's a little bit different, right? In the Champions League and in European football, the referees are a little different, are they not? You know what I mean? In the way how they view penalties and how they view major incidents like yellow and red cards, something we got to be careful about, I believe. You
Yeah,
know,
let's just hope our goalkeeper isn't sent off.
yeah,
again.
after 12 minutes. That one hurt. That one hurt. We can't have that again. But in the semi-final with Bayern, I think there was it Ben White had a deflected shot, something deflected, ricocheted up onto his arm, and it was given as wasn't that the penalty that was given in the 1-1 at Atletico?
Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy how the referees view innocuous handballs.
It's big.
Be
It's
different.
because his hand was out. His arm was out.
Yeah, but they're much more open to giving penalties away, or giving the calls. Speaking of Southampton, now we hear. What's this? Now we hear. They have been spying on opponents. You think they spied on us in that cup loss? The memes have been strong as well. We see Michael Carrick. I saw a meme of Michael Carrick spying on Arsenal as well for Manchester United. You've got to give Norgard a run in the team to get used to his teammates, not just judge him on one game, right? Yeah, but like he was a senior player in that FA Cup side that went down against Southampton. Foolish tackle, somebody saying that's a red. Yeah, Kai Havertz was lucky against Burnley. We have to recognize that. Hincapi or Calafiori at left back. I think some of us went for Hincapi and some went for Calafiori. I'm watching it tonight after the game. Vinny Jones.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. You've had 25 Premier League seasons, and we're the first one not to give a penalty or get a red card, especially with our disciplinary action over the years. Because they're red card happy under Arteta.
Yeah. Crazy. I love to see Eze and Odegaard creating together. I just think that we need to be a little bit. Their midfield's strong, right? PSG's midfield is strong. They got, I think, Neves and Vitinho. They got some good players in there.
Yeah.
Mascara needs the performance of his life. Could you imagine Mascara? Let's look at Mascara for a second. because this is a player that Andrea Berta bought and probably thought he's going to get maybe 10 games a season. I think he's probably played double that, if not more, because of the injuries to Ben White and Urian Timber. And here he is. He was on the periphery of the Spanish team, and he still didn't. He's still not on the plane to America for the World Cup, but he's played quite well throughout the season. Gained a lot of experience alongside Saliba and Gabriel in that back line, and those are the best players to learn your trade
And
from.
also as well with Mosquera, he may be young, but before he came to us, he played 2 seasons with Valencia. 37 appearances in one season, 36 in another. So he has experience.
Yeah, and maybe in a big game like a Champions League final, so it can either make you or break you, right? Well, I don't feel like I've not seen this player fall apart and make mistakes, Christian Mosquera. So
Plus, no, I've seen him make
No.
mistakes, but he's recovered. He's been able to recover
Right.
and mop up.
well,
You know,
not let's say not
He hasn't made
mistakes,
mistakes that have really cost us.
right? Not mistakes that are going to lead to costly goals or have led to costly goals. So need a nice man, uh, Odegaard. That'd be something of Odegaard. I'm telling you, whoever scores for Arsenal, there's a story there. Odegaard refuses Real Madrid or doesn't get along at Real Madrid and comes to Arsenal to rekindle his career. Goes on to win the Premier League title and the Champions League. When Real Madrid are in the wilderness now. And did you hear Jose Mourinho is back at Real Madrid as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's not signed yet because they're doing voting. They're doing a president vote at the moment.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like the man that they've got in there at the moment, is it Fiorentina Perez? Is that the guy? That's the president.
Yeah.
I think it's widely expected that he will win the vote, from what I'm hearing, and then Mourinho will be brought in because it's him that wants Mourinho. But should he not get the vote, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? So there's no ink on the paper yet, but that looks like where it's going to go.
Okay.
Well, what do they do these span about every 4 years, roughly? They
Voting.
vote for the president.
I don't think it's been. I think it's been quite a while since the last one, and there have to be certain conditions to trigger a vote. You have to have a certain backing or something like that, but and investment. There's money involved. It's a little bit like when you're running to be a president or a prime minister, right? You have to have backing and stuff, and the fact that there even are votes taking place, it doesn't mean that it's going to be cut and dried for the current guy that's in. For this other person to be running and putting himself out there, they must have a good feeling that perhaps they can make a change. But you never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the Fiorentina Perez said? He said something like, "You're going to have to shoot me to get me out of here."
He's been around a long time. He knows how to win an election. Let me just say that much. You know what I mean? And by winning the fans over by bringing Mourinho back, it's almost like you bring a Galactico in just to keep yourself in power. BX said, I'm hearing only being deducted 50 points. That's not enough. I agree. That's not enough for all of the things that they've done in the last 15, 20 years. Bernardo Silva out, Stones out, Pep gone, Haaland will go soon, and the penalties come down. They will be back to Division 1, up and down club again. I mean, it'll be so nice if that happens, that they just fade away into nothing, because that's, I would love City. I would have loved City to be a big club in the sense of doing it organically. I can't stand clubs who are propped up by injection of cash in the incorrect way. Let's just say, I'm going to say. I remember when Arsenal had 8 games without a shot on goal. That's what PSG are about to experience. 11-day rest for Arsenal to focus and recover. PSG ain't ready. Great point there, JP. Because on Sunday, and I'd forgotten about this, but Stan, we basically have had 10 days or 11 days to um, rest, focus our attention. Like since Tuesday, we had to fulfill the Crystal Palace fixture, but basically all of our main players are rested and ready to go, rather than having to fight it out with the stress of a final day fixture at Selhurst Park.
Well, I think it's the same for PSG. I think they've had 15 days rest.
I know. I
Yeah, well,
was thinking they'd
I'm
get rusty.
early, though. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean a good
Yeah.
thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
too long a rest, you can lose rhythm, right?
Exactly. You can be rusty and lose rhythm. But we won the league. We won the league at Selhurst Park. We won the league at Selhurst Park. Um, what, Tony? Tony, we won the league at Selhurst
Ray.
Park. We won the league at Selhurst Park. The only thing that was slightly didn't sit right is that we didn't do it in front of our own fans. We didn't do it. It wasn't allowed. It wasn't allowed for us to win it with the Burnley game. You know what I mean? So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it always ends up that way because you have FA Cup later on, so you don't really have everything settled on that Sunday. You have games earlier in the week, like we did playing on a Monday. So either way, you win it. I think it's always a little bit better to win it at home, but it doesn't happen that way. So you gotta take it where you get it at.
Yeah.
And we were rated this year because we've had near the end of the season. We stayed in London for the most part. And after the Champions League games, we were home after those. So fixtures were kind to us, even
Yeah.
though I hate when you start talking about the fixtures in early August or
How
July,
dare I,
whenever.
Craig? How dare I create content to talk about?
You
Shame
play
on you,
everybody twice, Ray. Everybody twice.
Tony. And Stan will remember this.
Stan's in my corner on this one.
No, Stan will remember this because we used to go to school once upon a time, following the Arsenal. We'd go to school, and summer, it would be a long summer. We'd love to have summer off, but as a football fan, Stan, there was nothing better than seeing that fixture list come out and thinking about who you're going to play, when are you going to play them, and all of those dates are important. You like a good fixture list, Stan?
Well, for me, I'm more about incomings and outgoings at this time of year. For me, it's always about trying to improve and not stand still, because nobody else around you is going to be standing still. And we've had a couple of windows in the past that have been very underwhelming, but we seem to have gotten that out of our system. And the owners, listening to what Josh Kroenke's had to say, we're not resting on our laurels. No matter what happens in the Champions League final, there's going to be more money to spend. We've made a lot of revenue. There's going to be some outgoings, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes in, because I'm always for upgrading if we can.
Yeah. And I know you got to leave pretty soon, Stan. You let me know, or just bow out whenever you got to go. The kitty litter's got to get taken out as well.
Yeah, I've got a pot roast cooking in a slow cooker.
Nice.
The missus has popped out, so I've got to go and finish that. So I'm gonna love you guys and leave you, because I have to finish off this pot roast and get back in the missus's good books. But listen, it's I don't know if we're going to be doing anything on Sunday. I suppose for me, it will depend on what happens and whether I want to talk about it or not. I suppose you and I can talk about that nearer the time. But I do think that if we do win the Champions League, it would be remiss of us not to at least come on for a while with some celebrations, right? And you know, maybe we'll see where we go, right? Depending on the manner of loss. But listen, you know, 2 more sleeps for me until the big one. I'm so excited. I can't describe it. And it's as the hours are now ticking down, and the closer that we get, I'm beginning to feel the butterflies more and more in my stomach.
And the big build up.
So it's been great to speak to you all this evening. Thanks to everyone that's joined us in the chat box. But I'm going to love you guys and leave you. And hopefully, the next time that we all convene on this podcast, we'll all be in party mode.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
More blue lights.
More blue lights.
I'm gonna be taking my Thierry Henry crisps out of here now.
There you go. You gotta be tasting them whilst the pot roast is about to get ready. As Dan said, listen, if we win that Champions League on Saturday, the appetite will be there to either talk about it Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But
sorry, Saturday. I meant
Saturday or Sunday. We'll figure it out. We'll be in contact. But if we go and lose, unfortunately, if we lose it, we'll all be devastated and disappointed, and we'll probably have to need to hold that over till next Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see where we go. But I'm gonna leave you guys now. So you know, let's all hope that the next time that we all see each other, that we're all, you know, in extremely happy mood, and we are the champions of Europe. So thanks to everyone that's joined us, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Good night.
Cheers, Dan.
Heinekens for everybody.
We'll stick around for another 20, 30 minutes, as is customary, right, Tony? We have to at least get 2 hours in. I know you're going to push for 3 hours, maybe. Alonso will not be able to join us tonight. And I think Gary's West Coast, right? How are you doing, Tony?
Yep. I'm pushing for this Thunder game, Game 6 of the Western Finals, and Thunder
you're watching Oklahoma.
So, yep.
Okay.
So, Game 7 will be Saturday. So.
Oh, so did they win?
Finals.
Did Oklahoma win?
No, it's be tied 3-3.
Okay.
San Antonio is beating them right now, so it will draw it even.
What's your feeling? Let's talk about basketball real quickly. What's your feeling for Oklahoma? Can they win the Game 7?
Yeah, they can win. They can win Game 7. I think this is more of a finals than it will be when they're playing the Knicks. It's just San Antonio lines up better against
that's a big prediction. So you're not really fearful of the Knicks if you get through.
No.
Okay.
But the only one about this is you don't know in wrestling. There's this guy called Danhausen, and he cursed the Knicks. Then he uncursed the Knicks, and he said he got human monies for it. So since he's uncursed them, they have won 9 straight games.
Oh, wow. Okay. If you believe in all that, you know.
If you believe in all that, then Danhausen.
If you believe. All right, let's get back to the article.
Here you go, New York Housens.
Okay. So Tony, this is the competition we talked about for years, right? The Champions League.
Yep, what we've been clamoring for.
We've been clamoring for these nights. I think Alonso was on.
There's Danhausen and Minniehausen.
Yeah, I
He,
think
he tried to he tried to clone himself, and Minniehausen popped out.
Alonso. I think Alonso was on last Thursday night and reminded us how terrible the Europa League anthem was. If you saw that, um, how much the Champions League is preferred is undeniable once you're back in the competition. Arsenal
I just
have
wish they'd mix it up. I just wish they would kind of tweak it a little bit
yeah. I think we got to.
after.
Did we get to the quarterfinal twice and a semifinal once last year? Is that how we did it, or was it a quarterfinal and semifinal? And this is our third go in the competition after coming back
Yeah,
7 years away.
this
You
is the
know,
third go,
this is the third go, and to get to the
and
final, it's a heck of an achievement to get to the final. We don't just want to get there. When you get to the final, you want to win it.
but but you always had the question I asked: Did they spend all this money because they knew how much revenue this new
Well,
Champions League format had, or were they properly supporting Arteta? And I'm still leaning on that they thought this was the easier format, easier way to get revenue because we've already got over
well,
200 million euros this year in the
I can
Champions
beg.
League.
I can beg to differ on that one because you don't you don't not support Arteta when you go out and spend 105 million on the best midfielder in the Premier League, the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League, in Declan Rice. And all of the
Yeah,
additions
but
since
but
Zubimendi, Madueke. Uh,
and about 500 million on defense.
yes. Well,
And
you
and
know who we had.
and
You know who we had. We had in defense 7 or 8 years ago. Colonel Mustard.
but that's what I'm saying. It's like to me they did all this because they wanted to be in this competition
Well,
every
I
year.
again I disagree. It's not that I disagree. We have a differing opinion. The Cronkies did tell us on Sunday that their ambition was to win things and to build it right and be patient. You know, build a model much like the LA Rams with Sean McVay. Hire a young manager or coach that is innovative,
But
and I
that's
think
what
you can say that
that,
Arteta has been innovative.
that that's what made me so mad when we finished fifth. Though they're like, oh, all we cared about was getting top six. It's like, yeah, but you had a chance to beat the Spurs out, get fourth,
Well, you,
solidify the Champions League. You could have signed Bruno Gummy Bears, but yet they said nobody was available and it would
when
be a
you when,
risk to the project,
let's be
which I
real.
think is all horseshit.
Let's be real, Tony. When you're a top six team and you're trying to get into the Champions League, you don't have the best squad. You don't have all of the best players. You have a good squad. You have a good team. You have good players. And what you need to do is get yourself into the Champions League and get that revenue going so you can build your team. Like, dare I say it, Manchester United are starting to have the building blocks under Michael Carrick that could become a dangerous team for Arsenal. They will have Champions League
They
money
could be our top.
in a season or
They
two. They
could be
will
our
have
biggest
Champions League.
competition next year.
Yeah. Who do you see as the
Uh,
competition?
uh,
Tony, who do you see as our competition in the Premier League next season?
it's, I imagine it to be Villa, United, and Liverpool.
You think Liverpool's going to rebound?
I think so.
No.
I think
You,
I think
Uh,
all in all, Fenway Sports does a good
Listen,
job.
I think Man City will still be there. They won't be as good without Pep Guardiola, but they will be there alongside Manchester United challenging Arsenal. I don't see Liverpool coming back as strongly. They're a top six team for sure. Aston Villa will be dangerous, but they're not strong. Like we have a really, Arsenal have a really great chance to repeat this situation. Going into this question or comment here from Stephen, if we have to sell Gyökeres, then we need to sell Saka because Gyökeres is the highest scoring player in one season under Arteta. Stupid idea to sell Gyökeres. I don't think he's going to be. We're going to be selling Gyökeres. It depends how it goes. We have a squad. It depends how it goes. The block.
It just it's so weird to me though that people want Bucharest gone. Well, what else do they expect the guy to do?
And outside of Julian, outside of Julian Alvarez, I mean, there are some strikers in the Premier League that we could target. You know, Thiago, maybe from Brentford, we could target him, but there's no guarantee that he's going to have the same season that he had with Brentford.
And
EX said the block
you
is
seen a
getting
striker,
started.
but
He's going to have a better sophomore campaign. What?
you seen Watkins do good at the end of a season.
Yeah. Whereabouts you going to be watching the game,
Somebody,
Terry?
I'll be watching it at home.
Yeah, probably the same.
It's just I still might if I can get anybody to join me for watch along of the 2006 Champions League tomorrow. So see
Wow,
if
you're going to
anything
do that tomorrow.
materializes. Yeah, I wanted to do wrestling on Saturday and Sunday because there are events on each day, but Sunday's the parade, and uh,
Yeah. Questions.
My
Questions
buddy
about the
Russ
game.
will be at my parade.
Tony, questions about the game.
So,
Donnaruma's gone to Manchester City, and so not we don't face Donnarumma on Saturday. Will their goalkeeper be um, as formidable as Donnarumma has been in this game?
they always seem to have a pretty good selection of keepers, I think. So I'm not worried about it.
BX will be watching from the comfort of his couch um, with some beers, I'm sure. The Thierry Henry fromage lays, bacon poutine.
We haven't heard from BX if he still wants Arteta sacked or not.
No, BX has come round. He has been
No, he
convinced.
hasn't.
He has been convinced by Mikel Arteta. BX, say it is so. BX, tell Tony, tell the truth to Tony.
Say,
Tell some Tony
say
truth.
Ray it is.
Tell the truth. Nice one, Moss. Enjoy, mate. We'll be packed like last weekend's game. We will be there around 7 p.m. Tiger and Gooner representing Australia, Aussie land. Good time in Aussie land down under, eh? Our BX said our players had some have something science and nutrition can't account for, and that's the high and overwhelming sensation of being champions. They had the Bruce Leroy low going into this. Morgan Rogers, Eze kept out Philly Foden and cold ass Palmer. LOL. Rogers being linked heavily. Would that be a player that would interest you, Morgan Rogers
Eh,
or Krupi?
don't really know. Don't know enough about him. I just this being a World Cup year, you never know how fast this business will be done. especially with this new 48 game format, which I don't like, but
Yeah, it's a
of course
bigger
it's
expense.
better than what fucking Wenger wanted, a World Cup every season. That's all we need.
I mean, look, Mossy said. I mean, look, last year, PSG barely beat us. Donnarumma, go gadget arms won it for them. He's not there now, and we are better. stand a lot of things, Mossy, stand to reason. You make a lot of sense right there. Finals are crazy. Finals are crazy though. All right, we won't stay too much longer. We've passed the 2 hour marker. Uh, yeah, too bad Hammers and Leeds did the job, but Everton didn't get their job done. So Tony, Mikel Arteta wins Manager of the Year, Manager of the Season, because he gets it home. He brings it home. Um, One other thing, the Premier League and the Cronkies. The Cronkies, I thought it was great to have the Cronkies on the field at Selhurst Park, celebrating with the fans. The fact that Stan Kroenke was there, also, was huge. Josh Kroenke has been the public face of Arsenal and represented us well, represented KSC, but we beat the likes of FSG and the nation of Manchester City also, fair and square on the field. I think it's going to be a banger of a match as pressure off us and them. Yeah, I think that's perfect, Mossy. We don't have that pressure. And look, matches when PSG open up like Bayern A, and Bayern opened up on us too. Look what happened. My Arteta humbling isn't done. There we go. My Arteta humbling isn't done. My gut's telling me I've got more groveling to do after we win on Saturday. You listen, if we win that trophy, BX Jose, you'll be so happy just to admit, to let it all out in a session that you're wrong. Um,
He'll have to come and join us
Tony,
during the show or after show if we do one Saturday or
yes,
Sunday.
definitely. Tony, it's been a long journey. I was called the nephew of Mikel many times by the likes of you and
Uncle
Sam Green.
Artie.
And Sam, Uncle Artie brought it home. You and Sam Greenwood, amongst others, were doubters, right?
Uh, Ray, realistic question. But Berta doesn't come in. You don't have those last minute signings that made us more depth as a defense.
Yeah.
Do you win? Do you win the Premier League if Berta doesn't come in?
Uh, we what? So who would what players would we assign if Berta doesn't come in?
I, I don't know.
See?
Probably not Bucharest.
You got to ask yourself those questions. Well, I maybe not. Maybe Benjamin Sesko or something like that. But yeah, it was always about Mikel Arteta's ability to use the squad that was given to him. You know.
He still didn't do that great of a job, right?
Well, he got it over the line. He's won the Premier League for the first time in 22 years. You got to hold that. You got to hold that. And maybe Champions League too. How happy would you be on Saturday? If we got
I'll be happy.
it? Show us the smile. Show us the smile that you'd
But,
have on Saturday.
but I'll look like just our cat.
That seemed like a fake smile to me there, Tony. Like a posed.
Yeah, I'll be happy, Ray.
Yes. Yes. All the years of supporting Arsenal will not that will have culminated, but will have culminated this season. And look, if we don't get it, if we don't get this Champions League, we'll be back. I believe even if we win it, we should be back for more. PSG are on the precipice of winning it and repeating it. That is a pressure that they will have to absorb, Tony. Imagine PSG. What's it like in
Yeah,
the Paris Saint Germain camp, right? They have the knowledge of
and that
winning.
doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen that much that you repeat. It just something that
Doesn't
doesn't happen much.
exactly, exactly. So,
But
is there a pressure? Is there a pressure there for them? Do you know what I mean?
I don't. I don't really know with this new format and everything.
It's a
I think
final. A
both are.
final is a final.
I I think both of them have confidence after what they did in the league phase of the Champions League and the knockout phases. So
Yeah.
uh, I, I, I don't think PSG's would be super scared by Arsenal.
Well, they might underestimate us, and sometimes when you
They could.
underestimate an opponent, it's one thing to be confident, but it's another thing to underestimate an opponent, and you get into a final, and you get into a situation where you think, "Hold on, this was supposed to be easy, and it's anything but easy," you know. We need a French Trossard lookalike ref. We all remember, right? That referee. I think he was Swiss or something like that. I'm not sure. But he was a referee that looked like Leandro Trossard. Canadian Lee Miller is going to the Premier League.
Uh,
Hull City. Yeah, that was
uh,
crazy. Hull
uh,
City beating.
I keep thinking of Trossard and Milf Dowman.
Trossard. No, that's not a thing, Tony. It's not. not
I know, but it's still funny.
it's probably
They were
more
talking
more of
about
a thing that
skirts,
he's hanging
about
out with hanging
Skirt
out with
Dowman's mom,
Anne
and
Hathaway.
still calling him bro.
Yeah, but he's hanging out with
Yeah,
Anne Hathaway at the nightclub. You know what I mean?
yep. That gives you some credit, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I- I- Is he more misused than Podolski or
Oh,
um
Trossard.
yeah, Podolski or Arshavin?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, BX Mosquera was not called up by Spain. Uh,
His
better for us.
GA is just his GA wise at Arsenal is just outstanding how high it is.
Trossard.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Conte's a free agent. Allegri is taking over at Napoli. Kivior got a second chance. Where's Areola gonna go? He has not decided yet. He's not going. Maybe he's going to Italy, but he is not.
Surprised you don't see more of them go to Italy. Just seems like Germany works out better for him.
Sask Fabregas. Um, Moss Gunner said, not impressed with spaghetti or spaghetti, but oh my god, Tudor was a nightmare.
Yeah,
If City are fans guilty,
I,
yeah, I
do
mean,
you think a lot of fans are disappointed that Wrexham didn't get promoted into the Premier League this year?
are disappointed that they did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think many are disappointed. I think it was probably a bridge too far. The standard between the championship and the Premier League is very, very high. Wrexham have
So
come here really fast. They've come fast.
so
This level.
so on Sunday, Ray,
Yeah.
on Netflix and before or for the race, and I think it's probably still on there. You had the Canadian leg of a F1. Did you watch
I
F1?
did. I did watch it because it was on Netflix. Yes. and I enjoyed it. It was some good driving there.
God, the fucking 19-year-old that just Kimmy,
Well,
it's
you
it's
know,
it, it's just
last
it's
season,
insane what those guys can do at that age.
last season was
Especially the way he was skidding over that grass at like 200 kilometers an hour.
yeah, a good battle with George Russell. George Russell was unfortunate in the retirement that he had to make, but some good driving. They could never separate from each other, and
Yeah, just that's it's happened in those sprints and it's happened in the Grand Prix as well. I do like this sprint format they have now too. I kind of like all the changes that I've seen so
yeah,
far.
yeah. I mean, I took advantage of it being on Netflix. But Piastri, one thing I wanted to say was Piastri was the early favorite last season, and he didn't end up winning.
Yeah,
So there's hope for George Russell still, but he's. I think a seminal moment last season was when Piastri and Norris collided with each other, and something
yeah.
similar happened. Teammates didn't collide with each other, but George Russell had some unfortunate luck. But I think that that could be a springboard for him to come back
Yeah,
at finish.
I think that's why that. I think that's why he had to retire because bouncing that car around so much just shorted out some of the electric
Yeah,
and lost the power.
correct. Um, of course, Mikal, the best being saying for 5 years. Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, you can see. I mean, you could see there was something about the progress we were making under Mikel Arteta, the phases that he talked about, and the banter that came from that. But you know, he's overcome all of the banter and he's won the Premier League title. Uh, Banter notwithstanding, eighth place finishes, a fifth place finish, and three second place finishes, and now finally we're at the top. You know, um, we loaded.
But do we want to mention we could have won the league on 79 points straight?
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about Liverpool last season. You could say the same thing about Man City the season before. You know, the fact is that we won the league by 7 points. I think it reflects the dominance that we had throughout the season.
Yeah, but we all know we won it by 4 points. They weren't trying to win.
Of course,
If
they
they
were
were
trying to
trying to
win.
win, Holland would have been playing, right?
He did play against Villa. Yeah, he did play. Cronkies have won everything now: Stanley Cup, Super Bowl, NBA Nuggets, lacrosse, and EPL now just has not won MLS with Colorado Rapids. Need Wilshire maybe to go coach Rapids. Cronkies winning everything. Saturday, hot and celebrating. Let's win, Stan. Noble
But
Gooners.
you can say a lot about the same things about Fenway with Liverpool and Boston and all the racing and everything else. So
Yeah.
to him, I still think a lot of that just real estate investments because it sounds like they might put a top on it and make it a lot like the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood.
Hmm. All right, Tony. I think we can wind. We should wind it up here now, right?
Yep.
Um, Listen, so many comments tonight. Everybody who's been in the comments: Tiger and Gunner, BX Gunner, Mossy,
Some new names in there.
yeah, Yer was in there, and JP was in there. Arteta legend if we win the Champions League, big time. Those German beers were good, says Mossy. Who else we got? There's many others in here. Gary stopped by. Antonelli won in Montreal. Yeah, that's correct. You know, who else do we have? Super JP mentioned him. DX. Okay, listen. We are in a holding pattern now. It's been we had Memorial Day um, off. It's been a short week, but sometimes short weeks at work can be long weeks. Um, we go into one more work day, Friday, and we look forward to the final game of the domestic season. A game which we can go in there on the back of knowledge that we are Premier League champions. The team has celebrated. One final thing is disappointing that behind closed doors, Mikel Arteta told the team that they're going to be champions of Europe, which was, a confidence thing that he's trying to give to the players. But somebody leaked the video out, and now they're using that as a stick to beat the
So,
manager.
so how long? I don't know if you talked about this last Thursday or not, but how long until that secretly filmed documentary comes out?
Yeah, listen, didn't mention that, but since I've been watching documentaries of Jamie Vardy, and I'll probably catch up on the Vinnie Jones one, has crossed my mind that the cameras have been probably following Arsenal this season. Of course, there will be. There's always some kind of documentary or video that will be streaming at a later date. It'll probably come out in the summer or fall at some point, autumn, don't you think?
Probably sometime during
The off season,
off season, I imagine.
you know. So yeah, I mean, let's look forward to that. There was definitely, as you called out,
Probably,
April was not a good month, but we had built up a very very good lead in the preceding 7 months up till then.
yeah, and you always had a very beatable Man City. That they're
Yeah,
always for taking. They could slip
they
up every
they
week.
were a good team, but we recognized pretty early, and I said it.
They they
They're not
they
the
they,
Manchester City that they
yeah
were.
they weren't miracle like they had been to have that good armor that they would
Yeah,
hold up.
they were not the team. They were not the team that people thought that they were going to be. You know what I mean? And so that's just the way it is, right? All right,
Yep.
Tony. Listen, thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you're doing well. How's the old health?
Uh,
Give us a health update.
uh,
Still
can't
alive?
my still alive. Still got another infection in my stump that I've kept getting since November since I had the surgery in it. So that's been a constant pain in the ass. But
All right. Listen.
n- then for a month I had a crazy cough that's finally went away.
Yeah, you were
It's
hacking
made
a
me
little bit there.
hoarse at times, and
So
still alive.
doing that watch
Got
along.
got yeah. Probably doing a watch along tomorrow.
Okay.
Rather I do it by
Champions League
myself.
final.
To Whether if I do it by myself or not, we'll find out.
Let me know what the result is. I'm curious to see if Arsenal win the game or not.
Are you curious to see if one of Barcelona's goals were offside or not?
Which one are you saying? The first one was offside?
I think it was the first one.
No, I don't think it was offside, unfortunately. But Tony, we're looking for a different outcome to this game on Saturday.
It is nice that it's 20 years later. It's a
It's a nice
decent
symmetry.
decent
Nice symmetry.
anniversary.
And look, we've had the symmetry of Selhurst Park. If people who are watching this right now don't know, uh, one time Tony cheated by saying
I did not cheat.
we
Ray
did.
said it. Ray said if you seen it, it was good on you. I wrote it down, held up the paper, and my handwriting is
I gave you
very
the points.
clearly.
Do
You
you
did
know,
not.
Tony? Do you know which video that is?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Go find it. You'd have to go find it, right? It would have been during the pandemic, maybe. It would have been like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
more, right?
don't know if they have anagram challenge in it or not.
Season 3 or season 4, maybe. You know, I'll go looking for it myself. You know,
God, we've been doing this forever. Right.
we've been doing it for a while, but listen, we've been following Arsenal and chronicling their rise from eighth place up to the Premier League champions. And yeah, if you've been listening to us talking about Selhurst Park, there's a very big significance about Selhurst Park that we had here on the podcast. That it was
R-
one of the
r-
questions in an anagram. Maybe it was an anagram or a trivia question, and Tony
Anagram.
Tony plagiarized and cheated.
I
Um,
did not cheat.
anyway, that's the significance of Selhurst Park. So happy, Tony, that we got to experience this together. Arsenal winning at Selhurst Park. Now, next season we repeat the Premier League title race. We win it, and we celebrate it at home to our in front of our fans. Who do you want to be the team that we beat to celebrate? Like, who do you want to be at on the field of the Emirates when we win the title?
Uh,
Aston Villa.
eh,
Unai
eh,
Emery, Aston Villa, and then he has to shake Arteta's hand, which would be
it would either be them or Manchester United.
oh yeah. Imagine Manchester United have to do that. All right, Tony. Thanks for being here. Take care of yourself.
United would be great if it was still a competition until last week.
Yeah.
It'd be great to beat
Well,
them at home.
they're saying something like they won the last 40 points, which is the same as Arsenal won in 12 games or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they definitely turned it around that last 12
Since
weeks
Ruben,
or whatever it was.
since Ruben Amorim. All right, this has been Arsenal Fan Circle. This has been the Thursday Night Forum. Arsenal are the 2025-26 Premier League champions, right?
Yep.
You have something to hold up, I think, by the look of you.
No, I was looking for my controller here so we could
Change it to red. There you
go
go.
back to red here.
Arsenal are the champions of England for the 14th time ever. And yes, we dare to win
It,
on
it's
Saturday.
time. It's time for Tony's fan only with a stump.
Right. You can change it if you want to change it from red to blue, and we'll leave it there. Right. Arsenal are Premier
I
League
can do that.
champions in red. Red. Thanks everybody. And now we're gonna get Champions League blue. Take care.